Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Lost Through the Rabbit Hole. Welcome, William Becker, returning with us again. How's it going, William?
Great, Josh. How are you? And thank you so much. I always have fun on your show.
As you do when you come on. It's going all right. I mean, best as it can be in the kind of way the world's going right now, but yeah.
An interesting place we live in right now.
Right.
Our duck and cover training from grade school is beginning to make me think.
uh,
Yeah. What have you been up to?
um, I took a break from podcasting for like 2 years. Just went to school, did that for a little bit, got in the field, got out of that field, and started
Oh,
working and printing.
okay. Great. That works. Are you,
Yeah.
what kind of research are you doing?
Um, ufology is I'm always going. I'm still this entire time that I took a break, I've still been on Dark Mirror Radio though with the boys across the pond. If you're familiar with
Okay.
them, Mark and Wayne. Uh, they're both doing great. We missed an episode this week, but um, yeah. So I'm still doing bits of everything. Now I'm back
Okay.
into the rabbit hole. I'm diving back into cryptozoology and ufology and the paranormal. So
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. Those are interesting. And you know me, I'm so skeptical.
I
Um,
know that's why I like having you on.
thank you. Um, I'm kind of one of these. I need to see something before I can believe for sure. But there's so much. I have seen a UFO. I and it's not a little pinpoint of light up in the sky that all of us non-physicists may or may not interpret correctly, but the big round multi-story of colored lights flashing, doing moving in interesting angles but slowly, and then going down a hill nearby. I was with a friend, and this was shoot in high school. It was about midnight, and we my parents had some recreational property along the Malala River, and this friend and I go out and just go out there and talk. And we weren't doing drugs or drinking or anything else that could impair the judgment. And it was just there. And by the time we got back into, or as we started going back to the car, we thought, oh, or I was thinking, especially, I know this area well enough. I bet I could find it. And by the time we got to the car, it was like, oh, we might find it. We went home and made sure we went the opposite direction. But it was so clear. It wasn't an aircraft that we know anything about. And this is in like 1974 or 75. So stealth bombers and all that kind of thing weren't around.
Okay.
Um, and it was the round shape, not like the Goodyear blimp, um, which was an example of having to be careful. Actually, we were at Niagara Falls on the Canadian side on double top of the double decker tour, at night viewing the falls bus. And there was this oblong type of thing with all these scrambled, weird colored lights flashing and doing their thing. And I was so disappointed as it turned the circle around. And it was a Goodyear blimp, but it was just the angle of the lights and everything. And so I was devastated. Um, but that's an example of how careful we have to be.
Yeah.
And with cryptodes, I've seen Bigfoot, so I know they exist. And I think my communication with them is that helps me believe that my communication with them was real. It's a telepathic, and they.
You're not the first person that I actually have spoken to about it. There is some our Bigfoot researchers. One actually is coming back on this show. He does a lot of research here. He's got many books out. His name's
Mhm.
Jay, but he's had a telepathic link with them as well. And the thing I've come to gather to, there's a couple other people I've known who had experiences with them as well, is once you have that link up, you don't even
Mhm.
want to show people where they are. You have this like profound respect for something that's greater than us, even that you're almost like the way he talks about it. He comes. It sounds like he doesn't. He wants to more or less protect them and like hide where they are now because they had such like profound experience with them, and they seem
Yes,
genuine.
and I promised them that I wouldn't let them know. I've taken one person out to the area who I knew wouldn't disclose the location because she wasn't from here. She had no idea where we were anyway. But
Is that
and
Vivian?
yeah,
Okay, nice.
and but I trust. Oh, sorry about that. But I trust her enough, and I have one other friend that I'd like to take for the exact same reason, and I think the Bigfoot and this friend of mine could actually build a rapport too. But my guides were very clear. Okay, you know they exist. Now you've seen them, you've had the community or the communication, move on. For me, I'm not talking about anybody else. This is what, for me, it's like, okay, this isn't your journey now, and just keep going, and other things. And I think it was basically leave them alone and let them have their privacy. And they were real clear that no good follows man. It's like we don't want to wind up in somebody's zoo or on a mounted trophy someplace.
Which is sad. I mean, it's so true. Um, there's a lot of people in the Bigfoot community that believe they're actually just not too different than us. And I was listening to the 411 at work last night, actually. A
Mhm.
lot of the hair samples have come back as human,
Well, I question those samples and how they were obtained and what they really are, and if people are misunderstanding or wishful thinking of what they're getting, and there are an awful lot of frauds out there as well. And I'm not
yeah.
accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying I've got enough of a science background, and I have a bachelor's in history. My master's is in another field that wants accurate, factual data, um, things that can be backed up. And so I question. And they are real careful about not leaving proof of their existence. Um, and that doesn't mean they don't leave something sometimes, but um, and it was real clear to me through them and through other beings that they're interdimensional, and that's part
Yeah.
of why they're here and gone. But this one I saw uh, let me see him deliberately, and it was totally non-threatening. But thought I saw one once, slightly behind a tree, or saw him slightly behind a tree line, but it was the wind was blowing just slightly then. These were thin tree bushes, and he was moving the opposite direction of the moving bushes, but with being behind it and all that, I couldn't tell for sure, and I wasn't going to say it was anything. Coming back up the road, the gravel Forest Service road we were on, there was no breeze. He was standing in front of the trees and walking back and forth, so I could see him. And it was at night. It was dark, but we had starlight. It was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was pretty clear. And we were in an area that we knew if there was anybody else around. We knew that all the cars that had come in during the day, go berry picking or whatever, had long gone. There wasn't any camping nearby, um, all the rest of it. So it wasn't somebody pulling our leg. So, yeah.
Do you think the footage from the 70s is legitimate from what you saw?
The McGruder or Gruder tapes,
Yeah.
they don't look real to me. But I am not a professional photojournalist or photographer or videographer. I don't have the technical expertise to be able to say. I'm also not a biologist, but it just seems like the walk is too. Oh, I'm trying to. I haven't seen them now for a while, so
Yeah,
when
me
I
too.
I see things and I think and put that in, and then I focus on other things, and I don't always remember. But I'm not saying they aren't real, but just everything about it, it seems like somebody in a suit and posing. Um, all the caveats I listed, and I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I haven't had um, anything that can prove that they were real to me yet. Um, and I think 85% chance they're a fake, but I'll probably get lots of hate mail from that, but that's okay. It wouldn't be the first time. But
There's a bunch of variables. I mean, I've like leaning towards the opposite, where I want to believe.
uh-huh.
Well, like I said, there's a lot of variables. I know the film was taken off, shot on horseback, so which makes kind of, the angle off a bit too, because the person is way higher up from shooting. Um,
They
and the
say
camera
it was
speed,
shot on horseback.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's proof that that was shot on horseback.
But that's what was said. And
Yeah,
I know it was like a unique speed that they were shooting at too. And there's
okay.
really not an explanation about that. My wife is more, because she's the photographer, understands a lot better than me.
Okay.
But I mean, and gotta say too, this was like the 70s, so cameras were quite different back then.
Oh, yeah. And they were all filmed. They didn't have, but there were some pretty advanced cameras out there. You could do a lot. Plus, that film, it's not like now you take a video and it's there. You have to develop that film.
Yeah,
And that can, things can be done in that process. I mean, look at everything in movies in those days. And the desire for it to be true, because I do kind of hope it's true. And I've first heard of Bigfoot Yenties or whatever when I was in outdoor school in fifth or sixth grade, and around the campfire. And um, I've wanted it to be true ever since. But that makes me even more rigid in my standards for proof because I don't want my own desire to influence the reality. Um,
understandable.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lore here. I mean, even as a kid, I remember going to like out to eat when we'd be camping, and you'd go into like the family, it's like bar and grill, and there'd be like little posters about Bigfoot, like warnings, and just by like
Hmm.
where they in the
Hmm.
90s.
Okay. Well, that's great. You were a little kid in the 90s. Thanks for making me feel old.
I wasn't that little. I was born in the 80s, so if it might make you feel a little better.
Uh, yeah, I graduated university in 1980, and that was after taking a year off in the middle. So, oh well. Um, I just earned all the white hair.
I'm getting there
Good for you.
myself.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I don't know much about what's seen in your area. Um, I'm real
Um,
close to some of the most active areas for Bigfoot.
there's a decent amount. I mean, we also have like a lot of lakes 'cause I'm in Wisconsin.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of forest area. So I mean, there's a lot of sightings. Our state's known for the dog man, though. If you're familiar with the Beast of Brave Road.
I've heard of
Uh,
the Dog Man, and I'm not sure what specific stories, but it's certainly something I've been aware of. Yeah.
The odd thing too, a lot of people who have like dogman experiences usually have Bigfoot experiences, like at the same time, almost like they got like a warning from Bigfoot, like you need to leave the forest. It's like what they feel in their minds. I was doing our 12-hour shifts, so I listen to a lot of podcasts as well and do a lot of research as I'm working. 'Cause the job's really boring. Um, Hopefully my bosses aren't listening. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I've been listening to a lot of Dogman cases, and I actually had somebody on the show named Peter, and he had the similar experience too, where he saw one after the other, and you could get a
Okay.
sense that Bigfoot was like, "Yo, you should probably leave the forest." I'm cool. He's not.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've had people on who have actually at least thought they've seen them.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were. He was from the Spokane area, so
Okay.
native as well.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know what they have out there.
And
I
that's the
haven't.
other thing too, with the whole Dogman thing, where everybody I've noticed who has a Bigfoot experience has like, oh, this almost enlightening kind of feel about it. It's not the same with Dogman. It's like I wish this didn't happen to me. This is I've had like traumatic experience. There's a little bit of psychosis that comes with it. It's
Oh
different.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me wonder what comes first, the psychosis or the experience. I'm wondering if the psychosis creates a false impression of what's going on.
Right.
I don't. It's a question. It just triggers in my mind. I don't know enough about the situation.
Right. It's a situation you don't want to be in anyways.
No, I mean, if some of that, and like Mothman, you hear all these horrible stories about them. Um, and if they actually exist, and if some of these stories that are showing violence are actually true, then yeah, they're not somebody you want to run into. Um, but
Well, the Mothman isn't so much as violence. It's like bad omen. Like
well,
every
there's
time he's been seen, there's been like a major disaster that's happened within hours or the day of where he was seen. But lately, there's been all sorts of sightings by the O'Hare Airport in Chicago.
Really?
Yeah, for like past 2, 3 years. But then I also wonder, because back in the day when I did construction, I worked at like commercial construction, so we worked on a lot of factories and stuff. A
Hmm.
lot of places, the DNR would come and release these big predatory birds, like falcons. So I almost wonder if there's something with that and the Mothman.
Oh, that makes
But I
sense.
mean,
That makes sense because they would use those birds to help control these
the pigeon
flocks of geese
population, yeah,
and
and the
pigeons.
seagull.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense because airports tend to be set up in a way that you get a lot of birds. In Portland, ours is right next to the Columbia River. I mean, it's a navigable waterway up to Monmouth.
And I always thought Mothman looked like a giant owl. This vibe I've always got, like a big owl, big, you know what I mean?
Uh huh.
And then the red glowing eyes would make sense too.
Yeah. Well, there was something. I mean, there are videos, or there was one of these shows about this kind of thing that had Mothman in an area, I think further in the south, that was ripping car roofs off cars and I think I don't know if it.
Oh, that's like that was like the original Mothman case.
Yeah.
That was a strange though too because it was like the military was investigating. There was UFOs all around. It almost seemed like too like the UFOs themselves were like investigating it. And then there was all this military like storage in that town, like right where the sightings were.
Yeah, but I haven't. I've seen it only on questionable TV shows,
Hmm.
and um,
There's also a great big Mothman statue, and like they have parades and stuff. It's definitely very embedded into the town. We have a similar case here in Wisconsin about a great giant lizard monster thing called the Hodag. But if you follow the original story, like the guy said he captured it in his barn and then took money from everybody, and then when like right before like the showing, his barn burnt down.
yeah, what a surprise.
And then he was like, "Yeah, no refunds."
Uh huh.
You know, so-
Yeah. And I bet the arson inspector either was in on it or bribed or
or him.
yeah, exactly, because that sounds far too convenient. Yeah, and some of these things I would like to be true, but it's just um, if they really were true, why wouldn't there have been more press about them that's still out there and easy to find and all kinds of things? And even things like Roswell and Area 51, there are some very legitimate reasons for the materials that were there for wreckage and the need for secrecy. And yeah, let's let people believe in a UFO instead of knowing that we're really working on a brand new
Oh,
top secret radar system, and we've also got some new plane development here. um,
speaking
you
of that, there's been like five um, unknown craft that is definitely United States and Iran. There's been some footage of it, but it gets scrubbed right away.
mhm.
So I mean, there's definitely we got tech that people don't realize, or
Yeah.
it's just got some stuff.
Well, the B-1 bomber, because they're such an unusual shape when they were first coming out, under being tested, flown to test them, people were calling in UFO reports right and left, and it it was an unknown flying object. We didn't know what it was. The government did. They built it, but only a small part. Not You're not going to talk to just every pilot in the Air Force and they're going to know about it. Only those that need to know. And a lot of the service members are given really very limited, very narrow knowledge of many things because that's all they need to know about.
They
And
actually make you go through a psychological test and they ask you about ghosts and aliens when you enlist. And they expect you to say, no, I don't believe in that. At least that's how it was back in the 2000s.
okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah. I wonder if it's changed because the Pentagon has put out its report of UFOs and acknowledges there are things that they could not identify or figure out what they were.
I I think the Pentagon knows way more about cryptozoology and ufology than any of us, to tell you the truth. I think there's a lot more going on. And what really gets me is I've dealt with a lot of service members that have had experiences too, and
Uh-huh.
they get treated pretty awful when they
Oh, they
go to their
were.
superiors about it. And what then they talk to other people, like in the battalions, and they're like, "Yeah, we've had similar
Hmm.
experiences." And it
Yeah.
seems to be like a lot of service members have experiences too.
Uh-huh. And I mean, there have been some proven absolutely legitimate um, video and photos taken by service members from ships and from pilots and all kinds of things that are
Speaking of
documented.
that, if I can interrupt you real quick, I actually have news that I was going to report on Dark Mirror, and we didn't have an episode. Um, the guy who was actually in force of Patterson, or the general that was in charge of the Patterson Air Force Base, where they had the material and the UFOs, and they also worked on like direct energy weapons, is
Mhm.
General William McAllister, and he's been missing since February 28th. He just his wife has no idea. Um,
How
he's
come this isn't
pretty
in the
high.
news everywhere?
I'm not sure. And this is right after we were supposed to have this big disclosure when the whole Epstein files was going on. He's literally the man that would have been giving us the disclosure, and he is missing.
Now, why would he be giving a disclosure?
He was the one that would have been in charge of the general operations. There,
For
he's
the
also for the Air Force, and he also
okay.
has a direct ties in with Lockheed Martin.
Oh, I just looked him up. He's an astronautical engineer,
Yeah,
retired Air Force Major General. Oh, CNN. FBI joins search for retired Air Force Major General missing for nearly 2 weeks. That's CNN.
I almost wonder if it's they have something to do with it. He left home without his keys, his wallet, his his phone. It's
Yeah, there's. I mean,
just without a trace.
Newsweek has it out there, and lists him as a missing UFO expert. Um, Police are looking for video. I've missed this totally. And I'm
It's
pretty
been really quiet. Actually, I kind of just stumbled upon this myself.
yeah. I'm pretty good about checking news, but so much is what's easy to get to is either the Epstein files or what Israel's doing or what we are doing or we in Israel are doing, and even Ukraine isn't in the news as much as it should be.
No,
Um,
You're not
they
even hearing anything about Mexico, and Mexico's still on fire from what I've been hearing.
it isn't. I last Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. I had a friend of mine on the show who lives in Mexico. He and his husband moved there before. Once Trump was nominated the first time, they started the process of looking what to do. And the day after the election, in that November, they started getting the balls rolling, and they were in Mexico before Trump was sworn in the first time. Um, and I'm very
So,
glad they made it. Um,
yeah,
but he said no, that things are
cartel violence way
it,
not like it's reported.
it's not going on like it was at all. And most of the country's safe. It only was in a few areas, not everywhere. Um, and so, I mean, this is somebody living there. But
Good to know.
yeah, it's so difficult because sensationalism sells and sales
Right.
make money. And that's the same thing with a lot of the TV shows with anything paranormal.
Yep.
Often, fact takes a backseat to what's going to bring the money in.
I was also wondering too, because in ufology we have what is, people like to call them feds or, like opposition, where there's people literally being paid to tell nonsense to kind of
Right.
bury stuff. I wonder if like some of the ghost hunters on TV are legitimately that.
Oh, well, I think there's a lot of fake and fraud on TV with
I
these.
know, but I mean, I wonder if there's actually government employed people who are doing some of these ghost hunter shows to kind of throw.
Now, you see, I didn't realize there were government sponsored people putting out the fakes and frauds along those lines.
Well, look at like Elizondo. And then
Who?
if you ever follow him, Luis Elizondo,
Oh, I don't
he's
know.
he is a former FBI agent who's very, very into disclosure, but
Uh,
everything is a threat to national security, and this is why the people have the right to know. And
uh,
I
yeah,
automatically am like, oh, yeah, you look like a fat. I don't trust you.
exactly. Well, especially the way that it's presented sometimes. Yeah, I just hadn't heard of it. That's interesting, and it could be. I mean, it really could be. I just don't know. I don't know why the feds would be interested though in spreading false stuff about ghosts. Um, because I
I
don't see
think
how that would affect anything confidential.
I imagine they probably have programs like, that probably, dive into cryptozoology, paranormal. They even say there's some elite units that handle stuff like that. I don't know. But then there's some
It could
people that
be.
have some
Yeah.
weird things about being in patrols in like Afghanistan and coming across other units and being told they have to leave and none of them dudes having insignias and but they're clearly Americans.
Well, some of that could be psyops and spying, intelligence gathering, and stuff. Um, I know somebody who used to do some of that in some of those countries. Um,
Right? In
but
Vietnam we told one village and there's literally proof about it that they took over a village by saying that they were vampires and were like blasting propaganda
um,
about it.
okay, I misunderstood slightly. I thought you were saying the obvious Americans with no insignia were telling other American troops
Yeah, that's yeah.
they had to leave. Okay, because people like the guy I know, they were collecting intelligence, and that kind of thing. They weren't going into the villages and saying we're vampires and you have to go. They were they were working on discreet observation.
Well, the
So
story that was just two incidents. The first, second one that I
oh,
was talking about, the Green Berets actually did that, and there was a they didn't just come out and say that they were vampires. They just left little traces because they were after a certain warlord. Hey, we're
uh-huh.
bad. So his men started getting like, hey, we're not gonna die in the jungle for this guy and get turned into a vampire. And,
Yeah,
they wanted a certain target, and they didn't have to use violence. They just used folklore.
yeah, and that's great. I hadn't ever thought about that. I mean, well, I'm not going to say it's
Great,
not
but yeah.
using violence is good. At least it wasn't another melee. Um, those pictures still haunt me. But yeah, that's interesting. And yeah, I it's so complicated. You know,
Yeah,
the human species makes everything so complicated, and it doesn't have to be. So,
I know.
uh, well, have you been up to anything with the ghostly side of things?
I actually had a episode not last week, the week before, with a ghost hunter slash vampire hunter slash werewolf hunter slash ex cop from the south. Um, he's an
What's his
author
name?
like you, Dennis Carroll.
Okay, no, I
He
don't.
had Hunting in the Shadows is his podcast.
Okay. And did he have any kind of news? Anything new and interesting?
Not really, not really. We just kind of talked about some of the vampire folklore around like Louisiana and stuff like
Okay.
that, and a little bit about werewolves. Um,
Yeah. I knew the
what's
voodoo folklore around there, but I didn't know they had vampire folklore.
Louisiana?
Yeah. Well, I
That,
haven't
or
been there
New
since the
Orleans?
early 70s.
Well, New Orleans. They say you're bound to meet a vampire because there's all these clubs and stuff.
Oh, well, that's from Anne Rice in her books, I think.
They say Anne Rice hung out with vampires, though. There's that whole thing about you can find Lestat.
Okay.
I don't know,
Yeah.
there's a whole big thing online about that and pictures that Lestat was an actual man that she knew and that his story is pretty spot on.
Okay. Well, I can see where she could have created it about somebody like that. Um, it was funny. I first heard of her. I was walking through the bookstalls on the sidewalk outside Central Park and saw the first book. I can't remember what it was called even. Oh, no, actually, it was one on the contralto in Vienna. And then it got me into the other ones of hers. First one was more historical fiction and very well done. And then I read the vampire. I think I read all three of them. I know I read the first two or the first one. Anyway, I don't remember. I moved on to other things, but
Yeah.
it's. I know there's a whole culture that I mean, people do even drink blood and do different things, and
There's the
um,
whole energy vampire, psychic vampire aspect of it as well.
oh well, that you can tell when you walk into the room or you're
Oh
around.
yeah, yeah.
And it's not necessarily that they're doing it on purpose. It's just that they,
That's who they are. A black hole.
but it's not like in any of this. I don't think any of it is supposed to be about turning other people into vampires. I don't know. And I can see where Louisiana would have that old superstition. I just hadn't ever heard of it. Um, because when we were down there, and so much of what I'd seen, it was more on the voodoo. That was the focus, and that was more of the prominent everything going on, and zombies a little bit,
Yeah,
the voodoo, and oh, a bunch of other stuff. I need to go. Geez, what was I? 15 or 16 the last time I was in New Orleans. Really do need to go
I need
down.
to go too. I need
Yeah,
to go myself.
yeah. It's going down as an adult would be a lot more. Well, I had a blast even the other time. There's so much we got to see and do. But yeah, go check out some of these places now. I'd like to do a conference there. Actually, this weekend on Sunday, I'm speaking at 9:30. There's a virtual conference um, at I'm part of, and um, then I'm also going to be teaching a class and doing a gala reading in
That's cool.
April. But sorry for the tangent. It's just the conference
Oh
popped
no, that's not
into
good.
mind because of what we were talking about. Um, but that's I know I'm more as a medium. I'm more up to date and have a much better understanding of the metaphysics and of the that side of paranormal and such because I hang out with them a lot. And it's what I do when I travel is I watch the history and sometimes stumble into past lives and um,
That's awesome.
yeah, it's kind of cool when you're walking through a Neolithic village in Dartmoor and with a friend, and you stop at there are about a dozen burial kists, and you practically trip on one and realize, oh my God, that was mine. I was buried there.
Um, when I was a paranormal researcher, I did a lot of work in a town called Galena in Illinois.
Huh?
Um, it's where Abraham Lincoln is from. So a lot of the time he would go to the library there in the Civil War. He'd by train, and this is where he'd do his like war room. And I got to investigate there, and that was pretty profound to be like, this is
Okay.
where the blue coat, this is where the Unions. I'll think, there was Union soldiers here, standing where I'm standing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And Williamsburg or some of these other places. I mean, Boston. I need to go back to Boston because I found out now where we actually landed when we came over in 1635. That one side of the family
Wow.
that most from three of the four sides, I'm either second or third born here generation, and I knew all but one of the people who of the four people that immigrated, and but on that other side, my mom's father's side, yeah, we go back a ways, and I'd like to go to the town that we went to. It's now a big city, but still it'd be fun.
I gotta figure out my stuff too. Like my dad's lineage is pretty lost. I really don't know. I'm somewhere around. And then my mom's side were like very, very German.
Well, on my dad's side, yeah, oh yeah, we're Volga Germans. But in fact, I cooked an old country recipe last night. It took me about 6 hours.
Wow.
Okay, it's worth it. But I haven't cleaned the kitchen up yet. But oh well.
Right.
Yeah, the shirt I was wearing before I changed it was my around the house, and it was the one I wore last night. And It's a faded dark blue, but it's pretty white right now with flour and dough and
Nice.
yeah. Um, so it's kind of fun. But yeah, and actually, my house we get a lot. I get a lot of activity. I was just hearing little chimes in my room. Actually, it was in my bathroom a couple hours ago, and it's like, oh, okay, you're here. Thanks for letting me know. Um, but it's the whole neighborhood, really. I've been outside waiting for a cab at 5 in the morning to go to the airport or someplace, and footsteps. You can hear footsteps. It's like leather, heavy leather shoes running down the street. Nobody's out there. And when I was a kid, this was all fields. And so it makes me wonder where it all comes from.
Right.
And this particular area, I'm only aware of one death in a house. The guy next door, and he was there for 3 weeks before anybody realized, oops, we better get the cops in here. Um,
Leather shoes makes me
yeah,
think of combat boots. Was he a
makes you think
soldier,
of
if I
who?
remember? Combat boots.
Oh, and it could be. Um, Actually, I hadn't thought about that, but it certainly could be, and it could be from somebody who's related to somebody living on the road. I mean, you know as well as I do that people don't have to die in a place to like to hang out at it. Um,
Right.
and a lot of them are just passing through, and it could just be that. I see flashes of clothing colors and stuff out the window often at night. There's nobody around, and there's a fence. I've got fences on both sides, so I can't see the neighbors' yards. And I mean, and it's real close to the window always. Um, all that kind of stuff. And every once in a while, you get the knocks on the house. The other people hear that too. I don't know what that's about.
Hmm. That is
But
strange.
in this town, people every once in a while post about it. And it's like, yeah, every once in a while, I do hear that. It's like a big bang against the side of the house. Nothing's damaged. I mean, there isn't a big physical bang. I don't know what it is, but
It's like, hey, I'm here.
uh, but it's a pretty crazy town, so I'm not. I shouldn't be too surprised.
A lot of history.
Yeah, we're the oldest incorporated city west of the Mississippi. There are older settlements and such, but as far as an incorporated city, we're the oldest. We have San Francisco's plot map because we were the seat of government. They filed it here when um, the U.S. got California and the southwestern states from Mexico in 1848 after the Mexican American War, and we bought them basically. Um, and so there are some pretty old the rancheros and different things down there, but um, they weren't incorporated cities yet. And San Francisco was basically a mill. I mean, a mission, not much more until, well, by 48 it was more because you had the gold strikes and everything. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, so we were we were the capital of Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and western Montana and Wyoming for quite a while. And arguably, depending on who you talk to, the first state capital of Oregon too. But there were so many different politics with that. I think um, it could be interesting. And actually, Lincoln was supposed to have been our first territorial governor, but his wife put her foot down and said no way because she knew that if he came out here, they'd never go back.
Mhm.
And they both had sights on the White House. So things could have been a
Wow.
lot different.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, we had the first long distance power transmission in the country, and some of the histories I've read said in the world. Um, the
That's
river
cool.
we're on is the second longest northerly flowing river, second only to the Nile. Our falls that power came from um, are the second largest by volume, second only to Niagara. Um, so there were a
We just
lot of.
got a flex on us, huh?
We we've got a what?
I was just joking. I said you just got a flex on us Wisconsinites, huh?
Yeah,
uh,
Wisconsin's a
well,
beautiful state. I have been there.
we had the first kindergarten, and we were the first ones to say no to end prohibition, and it shows.
Ah, excellent, excellent. Well, we had a pretty. My dad was a history teacher, and U.S. history was his big thing, and um, he taught world history, but U.S. was his main specialty. And he said, "Yeah, Clackamas County made the Ozarks look like child's play when it came to moonshine production." And that's the county I live in, and the town I'm in is the county seat. And my his dad's cousin never could manage the thought of making an honest day's living, and people think of the stout stalwart German workaholics and blah blah blah. Not this guy. And he got busted for making moonshine, and his sentence was 30 days in the county jail in the town I'm in. Um, and the sheriff sent him home every night or so to make whiskey and then come back with a bottle for the sheriff every day. He was supposed to, they hand painted the lines on the roads in those days, and that's what he was supposed to be doing. But he was making whiskey for the sheriff instead.
That's an awesome story. Love it.
So, and a lot of the whiskey and beer and such was smuggled out to the docks on the river through a tunnel that went right underneath the courthouse. I've
That's
seen
wild.
the I've seen the entrance to that tunnel. Um, it's pretty bizarre.
Which is something I always thought about too, because we have a lot of speakeasies, and I've been to a couple.
Yeah.
They had that ability to like just do that stuff just to get booze back then. What makes you wonder, like, what does the military do? Is there stuff underneath our feet? You know, a lot of people talk about that, and they definitely have the capability. And then you think about all these bunkers and stuff that the elite have. There's probably a lot more going on underground than we all realize.
Oh yeah. There probably is. And a lot of these tunnels and stuff that where we are, and I'm guessing where you are, they were originally built to transport goods from the docks or from wherever out of the rain and out of the mud. Um, they were used for more nefarious purposes later, or even sometimes along with the transmission of or transportation of goods. But they weren't built to do that for the most part. They, at least around here. Um, but they sure built up a lot of other things.
Yeah.
You can tell when you get to the opium part of a Shanghai tunnel where the opium den was, and uh, people start giggling and getting woozy and stuff, and um, it's just kind of fun to watch. But yeah, yeah. So, do you have any big projects coming up?
Um, would like to. Like I said, I kind of just been easing back into it. Started
Mhm.
doing this. Still going to continue doing Dark Mirror. Um,
Mhm.
have some projects in the works. Thinking about thought about doing like this little game show thing, adding to my show.
Okay.
See how that goes. Um, no, not really. A couple of people said mentioned that I should get into writing a book or something. I don't know about that. I mean, I've had a bunch of crazy experiences myself, but
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. I'd like to hear
yeah.
more of those. But yeah, that sounds good. And
What
you
about
got it.
you?
Well, I've got the um, conference and then this workshop and gallery reading coming up. And I just was part of a investigation, a private one. A team I know rented the Ermitinger House, and it's um, a very historic home built in 1843, crazy haunted. Nothing negative. It's all fine. Um, but this team rented it to investigate, and the city, somebody had to be there, and I'm on the friends group for the house. The city owns it and operates it, and so I was the staff person there basically, and also the person that set it up, and I wanted me there because for the mediumship, and that was fun. But I tell you, I get tired on investigations. It's like, okay, well, as soon as they're done talking to me, I don't need to be here anymore. And it's like,
Oh
okay,
man, I haven't done one since a true investigation since I was like 22. I don't know
oh,
about I. I mean, I work 12s now, but I don't know if I could just do that of staying up all night and researching until the sun comes up like I used to.
well, and you don't need to. I mean, they come out in the light, and they come out in the daytime. And I mean, this house, there, well, nobody would go in it at night until not that long ago, but they had almost everything was during the day. Um, Sometimes they'd come in the next morning and something would have happened overnight. But um, oh, there was several years ago, a guy asked me if I would um, help him investigate a house because it had demons and his team was too afraid to go. So I rolled my eyes slightly and said, sure. He said, oh, great, we can get there at 11 and stay till 3 a.m. or something like ridiculous like that. And I said, well, what time is the activity? And he said, from 3 to 5 in the evening. And I said, well, why don't we go from 3 to 5 in the evening then?
Right?
He hadn't thought, he hadn't thought of it. It was so focused on the overnight night things
The
from
witching
what he's
hour.
doing that instead of when is it active, and the whole thing fell apart and it didn't happen, and that's great, and I don't even remember who it was, and I wish him well, but yeah, it was a little bit bizarre. Um, and I know the neighbor. I don't know which house it was, but I know that neighborhood, and there's nothing nasty in it.
That was one too. I had a really, really weird experience when I first got into ghost hunting. There was a like a local legend about a serial killer that apparently killed children.
Ooh,
Blah 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 blah. And it turned out it was my great uncle who hated kids, who was a Vietnam or a World War II vet, and it was just get off my lawn. Like it wasn't even anything horrible. Just from like I did the research and followed it, and like from what I gathered, I think he started the rumor.
I love it. I probably would have liked him.
It was
Uh,
like in the 70s in Sheboygan, yeah.
Please.
Turns out he was an old guy, and it was like horrific. Like he decapitated some kid and threw his head against the stop sign. It was just an old dude. He did not want you on his grass.
Yeah, and so he just sent you away. He did nothing. And that's an example of how quick people take a rumor or a misunderstanding or communication and make it this big, exciting, horrific thing that has basically no semblance of reality, maybe 2%. Yeah, geez, I love it.
And then it was like, and to the time when I first heard it, this area was haunted by demons, and blah 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 blah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll dig into it and go to the library, check out some records, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, I'm related to him. I
Yeah,
went back. They're like, no, he just didn't have kids and didn't like kids.
did the people let you investigate or anything with them anymore, or did you blow their fun too badly?
I was like the cool kind of goth vampire guy, so like a lot of the tough, like I got everybody into the ghost hunting and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, that one I think everybody was pretty disappointed in.
Yeah. Uh, well, people get into it for different reasons too, and the
Like
thrill seeking reasons to me aren't great ones, but
it's like there's one that everybody pays to go and investigate in my hometown too. That they
uh,
call it an asylum and the haunted asylum, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, go do your research. It was a sanitarium. I was like,
right.
it's much worse than an asylum. I Of course it's haunted because it's where everybody got sent to back in the day when the TB was going around and there was no cure.
Yeah, and it wasn't a mental hospital; it was a TB hospital,
It
basically.
was basically hospice.
Yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. TB was a big killer.
Yeah.
My grandfather on my mom's father died of it. Um, she was still a kid, but and people get the words mixed up. And sanatoria compared to um,
Asylum.
yeah, and the other S1 sanatorium, sanitarian. Anyway, one's a high-end spa type medical center,
Oh, maybe I said
and
it
the
wrong.
other is an insane asylum. Um, yeah. Oh, anyway, sometimes I get my words gone.
I do that too.
Oh, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I blame it on the ADHD.
Me too.
It's a handy resource for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, very good. This has been fun.
It is.
Mhm.
I know you don't get much in the whole UFO thing, but have you ever heard of Chris Bledsoe?
I don't think so.
You should look him up and just check out that
Okay, what's his name again?
Chris Bledsoe.
S Wesso,
I believe so.
or
Chris
is it
Bledsoe.
Wessling? Wessling, or there's a Wes Chris Wessling that is listed as a TV personality.
No, he's not a personality. He's just the guy who had a UFO experience.
Okay, because
Um,
there's
but the government came and talked to him about it, and the Vatican came and talked to him about it.
wow.
And he kind of
Was he in
doesn't talk like
Bakersfield?
it. He's been all over. He's gaining a lot of traction because the beings he saw, he kind of describes as more angelic than even alien. It's,
Okay. If you could send me, I'm having trouble finding him just right off. If you could send me a link or a text his
yeah, I'll send you the page.
spelling or something to me, or a link to him, that'd be great because I'd like to check it out.
I'm
Um,
pointing everybody towards him.
yeah, no, that sounds good. Um, okay. Oh, I saw messages and I thought I just looked and they were from you, or they were
Oh,
from somebody helping you. I don't know which, but
yeah, it's my wife. One of the two of us trying to.
yeah, yeah.
It's just
Uh,
fun to do when your phone's hooked up because I record through my phone and then I'm like, I'm gonna connect it to the stands.
uh, I did it
Yeah,
with I've got you on my laptop, but um, yeah, it, life is an interesting experience, and my motto is the more we can see and understand, experience it, the richer it is, and that's part of what I
I
love
like
about the work I do is I bring in those other dimensions, and
I like that.
yeah, yeah. I was just on this presentation I'm putting together. It's was working on um, places that I've gone to read history and watch the history going on around you. And the last pictures I put up were in Egypt, Egyptian tombs where I watched the scribes and the priests doing the sculpture and the painting and things like that. And King Tut showed me.
Recent,
Uh,
go on.
yeah, King Tut showed me how he rose, his soul rose out of his mummy, out of his sarcophagus. He did it 3 times in a row for me, and
Awesome.
and that was actually physical. I think it was more physical than Third Eye. And I thought I had pictures of that. I wasn't supposed to, but I thought I actually had a couple pictures of his mummy in the sarcophagus in the tomb because that's where it was when I was there. But I I couldn't find them, so I guess I don't. But um, and just so many things. Watching the women in Troy um, with the blood from the human sacrifice, um, things like that, and then finding out, yeah, there would have been sacrifices going on during some of the his Bronze Age period of the city, and yeah, I love it. So
It's awesome when you get to travel and see so many cool places like that, and then you get to have that profound experience with the
uh,
mediumship.
yeah, I love it. I am unfortunately am out of travel funds at this point, so I need to get them
Oh, that's the way
replenished.
everything's going right now. We have a trip coming up too, and just inside the states, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty pricey with just gas.
Oh yeah, where are you going?
Florida.
Oh yeah, definitely pricey with just gas. That's quite a drive. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's like I heard last night gas went up. It's $8 a gallon in LA.
I'll ask my sister. She lives down in the area, and my niece and nephew work in the city. Um, um, I'll check because that could be true. I mean, it's gone up quite a bit. I know one report I said or read said it's gone up 80 cents a gallon.
Yep.
It hasn't gone up that much here. It's gone up quite a bit,
Either.
but it's gone up a good probably 40 cents a gallon, and it's higher every day.
Yeah, I think even if the conflict ended today, there would still be major repercussions with how the oil fields are, and the oil rigs are pretty messed up.
Oh yeah,
Now
and
there's mines around them, and
exactly, and it's uncertain whether the Straits of Hormuz have been mined or not. Um, and Qatar, I think. I'm not sure about Kuwait, but some of the countries are also turning off a lot of the wells and restricting refinery processes and a lot of things, which is smart. You don't want them blown up at full capacity. The fire and the problems are much worse if you've got all that petroleum running through it than if you can turn off the wells so you don't have as much happening and keep production
hopefully
down.
them hopefully them guys that have to work on them wells get like even more hazard pay with this stuff going on. I mean, I couldn't imagine this like you know what I mean? The job already really, really sucks and it's dangerous, and now somebody's trying to blow up your job while you're there too. Like
Exactly.
there's
And I don't know what's all is involved, but considering I doubt very much that they are, uh, that's a
I
good
know they
point.
get I know they get paid a lot of money, and I know it's really, really grueling and awful. And I
Hmm.
wouldn't want to be working on an oil rig. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure how much, once the well is drilled and set up and the pumps and everything in place, I don't know how much physical labor is involved or needed at the site for that, but the processing plants, absolutely, the refineries.
Mhm.
And even if the setup wells don't need people operating and such, you've got all the exploration and digging of new wells, and you'd have to have inspectors going through to check on things to make sure you don't have problems going on. I mean, the electronics can only show you so much. You've got to go do visual inspections too, I would think. And I don't know how much is done by, I don't know the level of expertise and how much is people from the West going in and working, how much are locals doing what. I'm sure all the hard labor is done by locals, and they're probably not treated well.
Probably not. I mean, I have seen ads to join them and stuff too.
Well, you
And
have, yeah,
yeah, it's there's a reason why they almost make $1 million per year because it looks really, really, really dangerous. Like
yeah,
almost like the same line as crabbing, but then you can also catch on fire pretty easily.
great.
Yeah,
Now, are
and then
those
there's
guys setting
like
up the wells, or
nah,
is
that
there?
was the guys like pumping the petroleum out of the wells.
And that's
The ones
not
that
on a rig in the ocean. Then that's on the land.
the ones I was talking about were like the rig ones where they get like boated in or helicoptered in and
Okay, so they are on the ocean, the oil rigs.
mm,
Yeah, that's different. But no, in what's going on in Qatar and those places, I think those are all land based. That's what
yeah.
I. That's
I
what
thought some of the ocean oil rigs did get hit.
I didn't know they had any down there. I'm not saying you're wrong. You're probably
I'm
right.
I'm not saying I'm right either. I'm just it's also how I always envisioned it too. I imagine the oil fields kind of look something like that, but in the sand.
Yeah,
I
because I've
don't
seen
know
a
though.
lot of video and photos of them,
Or
and
would it almost be like the pipeline in Michigan?
it's more like that actually. Once the wells
Yeah.
are established, it's all because those big rigs that you see, even in the old days, those were for drilling more. Those weren't the pumps. Um, and I remember seeing a lot of those. But the pumps that we used to have around, oh, in all the states I've been to with oil, they they went like this back and forth. They were low, big metal things that kind of just went like that back and forth. They're on a pivot piece,
But
and
then isn't there usually guys in the middle of that up on top, and then they're like literally changing out big pipes constantly
I
as
think
it's like
that's
pumping out?
I think I think that's maybe when they are digging the wells because the oil fields we went through didn't have people doing much and that you could see, and the pumps are just there doing their thing, and there's nobody around. Um, but that was it's been a while since I've been through those areas. I'm not going to say things haven't changed, um, but the drilling process and establishing the well, lining it, doing all the stuff to get it pumping and productive and flowing right is different than and with fracking and everything that they're doing now it's a different process that it's certainly more dangerous for the
I don't
environment
feel
and
like that
people.
should even be a thing.
Oh, I agree with you, but it very well could be a lot more dangerous too as far as setting up the lines.
I'm not a
Um,
religious man, but if there's a thing with getting gas out that turns the water flammable, maybe that's God telling you, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing that.
exactly. When people's wells start turn on the faucet and you've got a fire in your kitchen sink, you know, um,
Like, dude.
that's an
We are
issue.
the new issue here is the data centers. Everybody's freaking out about.
Those things are
It's been,
horrible. They create a
it's
few
been
jobs, but
yeah, then
they take
destroy the wildlife population and destroy the water and the ecosystem
absolutely. And
and they're way after Wisconsin because of all of our lakes.
oh yeah, because they want all that, and then the amount of electricity they need is just mind-boggling. Um,
Mm-mm.
I heard
But
on the
they don't advertise it like that. They come into these small townships and they're like, "Oh, we can build this," and the economy is here really hard, and this where we have this much, we're building this big of a thing. Think of all the construction, and then the
and
construction
then
gets done, and we hire like
all
a
the
hundred people.
living
Yeah,
wage jobs to operate them and such, and it turns out there aren't that many jobs, and people can't. Yeah, it's it's all a scam. It's all about making a few
hmm
people a lot of money. So yeah,
let's let's waste all the water in Wisconsin so we can see what your cat would look like as a person.
yeah. Well, what they're doing here is they're putting them in the desert in my state.
Oh, really? Because I know it's
Yeah,
all like the
but
ones here are like take a ridiculous amount of water to run.
Yeah, well, they just plan on taking it out of the groundwater, which is
Hmm.
already subsiding to the point people have to. In some areas, people are redigging wells constant. It seems like all the time, and water tables have dropped so much. And because we've also had lots of years of drought, and agriculture in the desert takes a lot, and some of them, well, they're all a ways from the Columbia, but some of them could pipe some water in from it, maybe. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. But people, that's a very conservative area, and people see the word jobs and
Hmm.
decent wages, and they're all for it. Although a lot of areas are really fighting it too.
Yeah. Um, we have comedians called the Manawa Minute guys. They're funny. They
Uh,
put on big, strong Wisconsin accents and the whole thing, but they've been really, really fighting it and making it, doing their part, making it known, and traveling around and having conferences about it, which is cool.
yeah, that is good. Oh, I should probably start getting going. I'm fading.
Yeah,
It's
it's,
Monday.
yeah. I've really yet to sleep since last night with being working graveyard shifts, so I feel you.
Yeah. So this is great. I appreciate it. I always enjoy the time and the conversation. So
Me
thank you.
too. Thanks for coming on. Have to do
Yeah.
it again sometime. You're always welcome to on the way to rabbit, I call them rabbit tea parties, or it's like a big group discussion. You're
Okay.
always welcome
Yeah.
to come to those
Thank you. I
anyway in an
appreciate
hour.
that. I appreciate that. And if the timing works out, I'd be happy to.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
So great. Well, get some sleep. Go to bed.
We'll try.
Great. Thanks so much, Josh.
All right, no problem. Thanks everybody. Have a good night.
Take care, everyone.